thing that I can say for families that have relatives or friends that have cancer is you just treat them the same, you know? Because a lot of people just feel really uncomfortable with it, and they don't know how to treat you, and you lose some of your friends, or people you thought were friends, and I think a big part of it is because they don't know how to act. They felt uncomfortable. I go visit some of the patients up at the hospital, and I just feel really comfortable talking to them, and I just talk to them just like, you know, just ask them about it and don't hold back. Some people may not want to talk about it, but I think you can get a feel of who can talk about it and who can't.
It was right before Christmas in '93, and my friend Tanya and I was just spending the night at her house, and we were just kind of bored, and we decided, well, I was telling her that my mom was kidding around earlier that day, and she said I could go to the mall and hang a sign around my neck, 3 head rubs, 25 cents, and make Christmas money or something like that. And her mom said, oh, that sounds like a great idea, let's go do it. So we made our little signs, 3 head rubs for 25 cents. We made $10.50 in a half an hour.
One of the things that has been really important throughout is just the family unit. We have had a pretty dramatic change in family unity, and it's been for the better. We've all been pulling together, and it's the sort of thing that has to happen, I guess. But in some families it may not. In ours it has, and I think the relationships between mom and dad, as well as mom and dad with the kids, and especially with Annie, has really improved.
A lot of people pulling for me, but the biggest support I think has been from my wife. I mean, she's been there hand in hand with me all the way, and you know, she's, without actually going through the procedures, I mean, she's been there with me the whole time. So
just love him and support him, and you know, a lot of times he tells people he's feeling good, but you know, I know really how he's feeling, and so I think I'm there for him when he can't put up that false face.
Okay, there was a time when he was going to school. It's a new school. He was in the 1st grade. And
this is your son?
Yeah. And he said, you know, he would always bring up things, well, Mom, are you going to die? Because everybody thinks that once you have cancer, that, you know, it's a death warrant. You know, you're not going to make it through, but that's not always the case. You know, when I lost my hair, I didn't only lose my hair, I lost my eyebrows, my eyelashes. I looked like an alien. It was bad. But he went to school one day, and his friends would come over sometime, and I'd have my scarf on. I wore a lot of scarves. And they came home. He came home crying one day, and I said, what's wrong? You know, and he said that, you know, his friends were laughing on the bus about his mom, you know, about me, wearing scarves, and they knew that I'd had cancer. And he said, Mom, they said you were going to die. They were making fun of him. They were making fun of me, just saying, your mom's going to die. And he was already pretty insecure about it anyway, but at that point I realized, you know, it's one of those times when you have to really grab deep inside and, you know, find something to say to this little boy that you know, is out in this strange place by himself, and with just me, and it's hard for me to take care of him. And I just told him that that's a possibility, but, you know, someone will always be with you. And I don't know, it was just a sad moment, but we turned it around. You can turn those moments around, and the chances for me dying was about a 40%. You know, I had a 60% survival rate, so I turned it into positive and said it's likely that I won't, more so than I will. So you just tell those guys to be quiet. And then, of course, I called his mom afterwards, the little boy's mom, and straightened that out.
You know what it's all about and everything, right? Have you heard about the plot? It's about a guy that gets cancer and everybody shaves their head to support him and stuff like that. You ever know anybody that had cancer or anything like that?
Some of my aunts and uncles have
Is that right?
cancer before, yeah.
Oh,
they
man.
died from cancer and stuff.
My hair.
That's great.
That's your dad. No way.
How's that feel?
He looks like my dad.
You don't like it, Mom?
Cow.
My dad, I think, broke down and cried once, and he doesn't usually do that. And, you know, it kind of shows you on any time I think a life is threatened or you see a loved one going through so much pain, you open up.
One of my friends, she's one of my very best friends, it was my very first day of chemo. It was her very last. And one of the nurses took me into her room and said, Nicole, here's Annie. Talk to her. Tell her what's going on. Tell her what to expect, because she had the same kind of cancer I did. She just told me a lot of things. She warned me about the hospital food and things like that. But that has really helped me. Just that one time talking with her, and we're still really good friends. But now I go in and I'll talk to other people who are just diagnosed or who are having a rough time, and just like she did with me, because with me it really helped, and I hope it helps other people.
People hear the word cancer and they immediately panic, and that's what we did when we found out a little bit. We panicked, and but everybody was real straightforward, and having gone through it for 2 years, the feeling is that it's doable. You know, you can do it. You can go through it, and it's not something that has to defeat you.
If you can survive any kind of illness like that, it really does help you see things in a different perspective. And I just don't take the simple things for granted anymore. And I'll take that with me for a long time.
If you just sit in your room with the lights out and the blinds closed and your door shut, and you don't want anybody to come in, and that doesn't help at all. And you have to get out and do things. And even when you're not feeling up to going out, at least watch TV or open your blinds. Or sometimes you can just ask somebody to read to you or get a book on tape or whatever, but just do something. And sometimes it's nice to sit alone and just think, but not all the time. You have to get out and do things and have a good attitude, or else even people with great chances of living, if they don't have a good attitude, there's not a very good chance. Attitude's everything. Just, you can make it if you try.
The patient, his biggest obstacle is getting over the stigma of cancer, you know.
Yeah.
And once he's accepted the fact that he can beat it, and there's a lot of technology going on that supports that fact. You just got to keep your hope up and keep a good attitude.
Chad had a hard time sleeping last night just because he was so excited about getting his head shaved. And then he said, this morning, he kept asking, well, when we get there, are we going to get it shaved at the beginning or at the end, or when are we going to do it? And then he kept wanting to leave to cut up here this year.